Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update, episode 269. We are now a few days into a Leo season, basically a week actually. Life has definitely been active. Friendships have been active, which is so natural. You know, it's a sign of the friends, Leo. And I don't know about you, but in my kids' life, in my life, all of a sudden, like, friends have been coming up conversations, getting back in touch. It's nice to have that during Leo season. This is what's happening this week in Leo season. Today, the 30th, Venus will ingress into Cancer at 11:57 p.m. Thursday, the 31st, Mercury will conjunct the Sun at 7:41. And remember, Mercury is slowed the fuck down right now in retrograde. And after this, Mercury will become a morning star, which means Mercury will be visible in the morning in the eastern sky before the sun rises. Before this conjunction, though, Mercury is said to be invisible. It's under the beams. And then tomorrow on Thursday, under the beams of the sun, shining bright. And then on Thursday, Mercury will be basically harnessed. It will be in the heart of the sun, and it's protected, the mercurial things. And then it goes out, and it's under the beams as it's leaving for a few more days. On Friday the 1st, Venus in Cancer will square Saturn retrograde at 9:34 a.m. and then Venus will square Neptune at 4:48 p.m. Next Wednesday, the 6th, Mars will ingress into Libra. Then on the 9th, we will have a full moon in Aquarius, and during that full moon, Mars will oppose Neptune in Aries. I'm not going to be sharing too much about that just because this episode went on, and I like to try to keep it under 20 minutes. Hopefully, I'll be able to get one out to you before that. I am going down to OCNJ on Saturday evening with my kids' grandparents, and they get a house down there, so I'll be down there for a few days. I'm excited. It's funny. I know if you guys know me, you know I talk a lot of shit about OCNJ because it's just so overcrowded. Don't get me going, but I'm happy to go down there and spend some family time, and I know it's nostalgic for a lot of Philadelphia people. So either way, I can have fun anywhere, fun in the motherfucking sun. Now, I want to remind you guys, I don't usually say it on every episode, I've been forgetting, but this podcast is fully self-supporting. I don't charge to listen. I don't anything. I'm not even there yet to have people like, I don't know, hey, advertise my shit and I'll give you this. I'm not even there yet. So if this was a full-time job, I would be. That I would know. So the best way to support this podcast is to rate, review it, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this. If we go over their astrology, say, hey, I think you should listen to this, or hey, I think you would enjoy this. That is amazing. That is the best way you can possibly help me, help this podcast. And again, it costs you nothing. It's just putting it out there. It takes 5 seconds. So I really appreciate a lot of you for years have been doing that for me, and I love you for doing that. So first, let's discuss Mercury becoming a morning star. So this happens twice a year when Mercury becomes an evening star after a Mercury retrograde and conjunct the sun, and then it becomes a morning star. So first, let's discuss Mercury becoming a morning star and what Mercury will deal with this week leading up to it. Remember, Mercury, my mercurial placements, Gemini and Virgo, listen up because you guys will be feeling anything Mercury does the strongest. Just like I said, leading up to this conjunction, as well as Leo's because it's happening in Leo. Just afterwards, Mercury will still be under the beams of the sun, like I said, for a few days, so before and after the conjunction. But by mid-August, Mercury will merge as the bright twinkle in the sky rising before the sun. And on August 19th, Mercury will reach the greatest elongation, and it will be at the furthest point in the sky from the sun, and it will be at its brightest. So that's going to be really good on August 19th. We're going to be seeing it. We will still be in Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde doesn't station direct until August 11th, but we'll be in the post-shadow period, so it'll just be ending. I'm actually really loving that week. We're not at the astrology yet, but I think that's going to be really, really good for my fixed placements, and especially mercurial placement and Leo. So Leo, Gemini, and Virgo, that week should be really, really nice and shining. And then Mercury stations direct on August 11th. Again, sometimes there's a few wiry things as it's a post-shadow period, kinks working itself out, but I generally feel after the planet stations direct, it is a slow momentum to get back to normal or maybe things getting resolved, but it definitely doesn't have all of that kinkiness. In fact, I always feel like the pre-shadow period and like the first week of Mercury retrograde is always the most chaotic. That's just the way I have always seen it, and I feel like probably a lot of you guys too. When Like I said, Mercury is under the beams of the sun. It is said to be not seen during this Mercury retrograde. We need to already watch out for Mercury trickery. It's elusive. It's a trickery planet. So when it retrogrades, it's said to become extra tricky. That's why they say, hey, don't sign a contract. But if you do, make sure you read everything and don't skip everything because something can be hidden. There's something that is under the shadows. So with this, I feel like that is actually increased until tomorrow. So this week leading up, Sunday into tomorrow and then the following weekend, Mercury things will not be seen. Missed messages, miscommunication, misdirections, feeling cloudy when it comes with, what to say or how to say something to someone, feeling like you can't connect or make the right correct decision. If you have to sign a written contract, like I said, or something along those lines, definitely go through it. Really make sure you are seeing and thinking clearly because those things can be altered during this time. I also wouldn't have any important conversations this week besides on Thursday. That is what the 31st. That is this week alone. That's the only time. If you have to have a personal a conversation where someone needs to get the point, they need to get what's being said. I would not do it until July 31st. When Mercury is totally conjunct the sun, it's protected. It's in the sun's chariot. That is when the planet, like I said, is just totally protected. So that would be a good day. That's also if there were anything shaky or you're not getting the messages, not getting things clearly, not saying things clearly, that will be the day that just sort of opens up and that communication becomes very clear. And then post that, there will be a little bit of some haziness, but not so much of the haziness it was ahead before. It almost will be like a planned or purposeful haziness. Mercury placements, like I said, Gemini, Virgo, fixed placements. That is Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio. You guys are going to be feeling that the most. And you all will definitely be feeling that the most. Mercury placements and fixed placements. This is some more information for you guys this week. Your life plans aren't quite working out the way that you wanted them to go. But remember, it does work out. You just have to be flexible. You have to be okay with A, B, and C. You have to be okay with letting go of control of what is unfolding in front of you. And when you can do that, you can just allow the energy to unfold the way it's meant to be, right? There is so much of it that is fate. So the lesson here is stop letting control. You can only control yourself, nothing else. So inside of that, you need to learn to control with faith. All right? Control with having faith. And that's just the way the universe works out. If you try to control, you send resistance and it doesn't work out usually. If you just are at ease, allow it to unfold the way it is, it works out every time. I'm telling you, it's a crazy superpower hack, but it does work. Something at work, again, may be a miss, or maybe there's just a lack of energy or desire to work, to execute. However, again, on Thursday, you're going to feel pretty good about executing. And then after this, Mercury becomes a morning star, then Mercury stations direct, there will be that momentum again. There won't be this amiss or feeling like you're missing something or not doing something correctly at work. There will also on Thursday be this light bulb moment, this I got it figured out moment. The message is clear moment. And that's going to be continuing. Again, like I said, it may be fuzzy for a few days afterwards. I think there will be a lot of energy in the beginning and then more of a tired energy after the conjunction. There's like the buildup, the burn. It's like the sunburn leaning into the sun. Then you're in it, then you're good. Then on the way out, it's like the zapping of the energy sun. So I feel like this weekend will be a little bit more, I don't have a ton of energy. This is a time to bring your soul alive. Bring it alive with art, physical activity, but slow physical activity, sweating. Last Friday, I did contrast therapy. Contrast therapy on Friday. You can tell I've only done it once. In Bryn Mawr, it's called Sweats, but it's spelled real funny. It's the first time doing it. Now, listen, I go in the sauna all the time. You guys know I do the sweat lodges, Native American prayer services, and I go into the sauna at least twice a week. I love the sauna, but I have never done a cold plunge. I've never dipped in. And so you go into this room and you have your own personal sauna, so you can be naked, a shower with a vitamin C shower, which was very nice, and then a tub with 54-degree water. Believe it or not, I was scared to get into there. I worked my way up to 2 minutes. I spent first 15 minutes in the sauna, and then I made it to a minute. And then I got out and vice versa, worked up to almost 2.5 minutes. I think it was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds, something along those lines. It was very physical though. I was very able to pray, be in the moment. You know, my ADHD, the brain, the Gemini brain is always moving. So my prayers are very funny and fractured often, or my intentions. It will be, I'll set it, and then my brain will go off to think about something else, and coming back. But when I'm in something physical, especially in that cold water, and I was breathing, I was able to really focus in on prayer. It was an intention. Like, it was pretty trippy. I was like there, like almost in a trance. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. Which I know that from my sweat lodges, like I pray best for me when I'm under really physical distress, I guess, because, you know, I need something to take away all that other part of my mind that's going, and I'm able to hone in on that intention. So that's what I'm saying during this week and next, is if you can do something physical where you can really set that prayer, set that intention, welcome, and not get distracted. And I know it's not me. I mean, half the world is ADHD, but then alone we're creating these brains of ADHD people with how fast we're taking in content online all day long. I was in the sauna yesterday at the gym, and I don't ever get on my phone just to check the time, and I just play frequencies, and I try to meditate, take in my thoughts, and open my eyes, because it's other people. Sometimes people talk, and there was 5 people walked in, and all of them were on their phone, and I was at the highest position, so I couldn't help but in between meditations, like looking around, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're just scrolling on Instagram, empty. You're just scrolling on that, empty. You're just looking at something, empty. And we all have to be conscious if we want to fight, you know, and help our brains, like myself included. When you just go and pick up your phone in an empty moment, like, don't do it. Yes, check your phone sometimes, but don't break the habit of doing it in these places, right? You should be sitting in that fucking sauna, setting intentions, or even just being with your thoughts. So be present with this. You know, again, maybe Mercury retrograde and the sun is having a conjunct the sun is having us say, hey, what technology stuff are we doing that is taking us away from our soul? Because there's a lot of shit that we're doing technology-wise that is taking us away from our soul, taking us away from our purpose, taking us away from our being. So remind yourself in those tiny moments, hey, why am I even scrolling my phone right now? I try to practice if I'm in line waiting, and people probably think, because I can stare. You know, if you know any Geminis, we can just like stare at people, and like we're like taking them in our head, but we don't realize what's happening around us. And so when I'm in line, unless again I have to send an important text message, I have made it like a habit over the last year or so to not get on my phone, and I just watch people around, and like everyone's on their phone, but I just watch people. So in that moment, just take in your surroundings instead of taking in the surroundings on your phone. So, all right, enough little soul lecture right there. Venus ingresses into Cancer and will conjunct Jupiter in Cancer on the 12th. Ingresses tonight, like I said. It will conjunct Jupiter a few days before and a few days after. I love Venus in Cancer, and, you know, that's happening today. That's happening right now. Venus is a benefic, meaning it's so benefic planet. So that means its natural being is good vibrations, good energy, good things, good luck comes to it by nature. And then it's in the sign of the moon, which is also sort of considered a benefic, but it is a luminary. But it's so the luminaries, the sun and the moons, they have a little bit of a different consideration there, or dictionary, what sort of a meaning. But it has, the moon is technically more of a benefic nature. And so it's naturally positive. It wants harmonious things like Venus does. So when you have Venus, and will be conjoining Jupiter in this sign, this is about coming together with family, love, and joy, but bringing that back into the home, bringing it back into the surroundings, and having faith back in your home and in your home surroundings. Coming together with family, friends that are soul family, love, and surrounding yourselves with it. This is just a lucky and good time for family healing. Next week, this weekend, when you're past, next Sunday, Monday, that would be a great time to have and Tuesday, a healing conversation, a loving conversation, even Saturday night, a forgiving conversation. This is just about bringing luck. And well into this conjunction. And like I said, the exact conjunction with Jupiter happens on the 12th. So we got a lot of time building up to this energy. And that day on the 12th, I'll talk about that before that happens. That will be like the ultimate forgiveness and luck. But really, these next few weeks are going to be really nice and peaceful. So coming together with family, friends that are like soul family, love, surrounding ourselves with it. like I said, this is a lucky time. This is a good time for family healing, good times for family, enjoying the moment with those closest to you. If you're having a family reunion over these next 2 weeks or 8 days, I'm loving that. If you want to have a conversation with a family member, like I said, or a loved one, this is a good time for that to happen. Well up until the 13th and 14th. Now, this weekend, Venus will square Saturn, retrograding, and Neptune, both in Aries. And Venus is not conjunct Jupiter yet, but it's definitely, the influence is already there with Jupiter's nature right now, since Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer. So here's a really simple analogy for Venus square Saturn and the energy of it. So let's say you're visiting a family, having a really good time, and the host is getting overwhelmed. You can tell, whoever the host is, you can tell they're getting overwhelmed. You go over there, they like, hey, do you need any help? And they lose their shit on you. Like, get away from me, leave me alone. I don't care. You're not going to help me anyways. So there's that Saturn-like moment, that square to Saturn. However, that very supported Venus, that other person is like, look, like doesn't get mad, doesn't fight back, just says, hey, I can see you need love and support right now. How can I help you? How can you release this pain onto me or this anger, and just show them support? And then they end up turning around and being like, thank you. That's what I needed. Thank you for your support. I'm having a really hard day, but you really just made my day better. And then you freed up the energy, and there's healing energy. That is sort of the analogy or the general energy of Venus, you know, with Jupiter's benefic energy in Cancer square Saturn retrograde in Aries. So kind of like this, I can't do this, I'm mad, but then that person still sits with you and doesn't fight back and allows you to have that process. So then Venus a few hours later will square Neptune in Aries. There can be this really exciting delusion. That's what came to me, like something of the future that someone says they're going to do. It sounds awesome. It sounds amazing. Like you and another buddy are drinking. You're like, we're going to do this. We're going to buy this house and we're going to tear it down, and then we're going to rebuild it, and then we're going to resell it and make $200,000, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? And it's full, or we're going to like start throwing parties or something like that. It's full of spunk. It's full of excitement. But it turns out to never come to fruition. And in the moment it's hot and heavy, it's ready to go. But then like the next day you kind of wake up, or a few days later, and you're like, that shit's never happening. They're never doing that. That's not really what's going to happen. And so that's kind of the energy with Venus squared Neptune in Aries, this really like idea that comes on super hot and heavy, or this conversation, but again, it never comes to fruition. And in the moment, it's so believable and truth, but then literally right afterwards, or when you're out of that person's presence, you're like, there is no way, like I know that is not happening. So, and especially with Mercury retrograde there, any of those things that are happening Thursday and Friday, don't believe the person. So we are really, again, only going to be feeling that square energy Thursday evening, Friday, maybe a little bit Saturday morning. The next 4 days after that will be calm and easy. And then the next transit should be Mars into Libra. You know, that's going to be interesting. We have a well-supported Venus, so I actually think this is going to work out better than it normally does with Mars and Libra, because Mars is debilitated in Venus' sign of Libra and sort of takes over Venusian things, you could say, the energy. However, we're going to have at that same time a very well-supported Venus with Jupiter. So overall, I think it's going to be okay, and I'm going to stretch it out. I said these next 4 days. There may be a hiccup next week, but I really think well into the 14th, it's going to be a like a nice few couple weeks of harmony and pleasure, nothing too hard. And even with the full moon in Aquarius we have next week on the 9th, the first thing that came to me, and again, hopefully I'll be able to get that out to you by next week, is whiny. I have a big Aquarius placement who I love. I have a lot of Aquarius friends, but if you know Aquarius energy, there's a little bit of whininess to them. There's a little bit of whininess to Leos too. But in a different way. Leos are more of like, I'm going to shun you, whininess. And Aquarius is like, no, why are you being so mean to me, kind of whininess. And so I feel like with that full moon, I'm like, it's just going to be a whiny day. It's going to be a whiny Saturday on the 9th. But hopefully next week I'll have a little bit more information. But for now, enjoy the harmony, enjoy the peace. I love you all. Get out there, be with families, go into nature, go to water. And remember, if you have love in your life, and I'm not talking like romance love, I'm talking love from a friend, love from a coworker, love from a family member, love from a lover. Wherever that love is, be grateful and be thankful for it. That's it. Stay in that. And this whole time, these next 2 weeks, stay in the gratitude for those who love and support you. And think about that every day. And if you think to yourself, no one loves and supports me, well, you got to change your attitude. You got to switch that around, because that is not true. You can find someone. And if you can't, then you're an asshole. Okay, I'm sorry. Because everybody has someone that loves. And so focus on those people in your life that are always there for you, that support you. Reach out to maybe life is busy. So sometimes, you don't talk to someone for a month or two. Reach out to them and show the love, show the support, and spread that, because we need that energy spread out in this world more than ever. All right. I love you all, and goodbye.